So, this is the story. So, this is the story of how I found my parents in 24 hours. First things first, this is the story of how I found my biological parents in 24 hours, which is still crazy to me to this day. So I was born in 1995, and I was adopted through LDS Family Services. They do mostly closed adoptions. My adoption was basically closed. I can talk about that another time. What's happening? My adoption was closed. I was given like some things, that I could know about them, but basically I knew nothing. It was a closed adoption. When 21 rolled around, I never got any information from my parents. That to me gave me the impression that they didn't want to know me. So I decided I would try to reach out to them, but after I felt like I had the right support system. So I wanted to be married. That was like one of my goals, was I would rather be married first and have a good, group of people that I am close with. So I got married, and there was a sale going on through Ancestry.com, and I wasn't super optimistic about finding my biological parents. I just assumed, this is cool, I'll find out my genetic breakdown and that will be that, and things will be cool. So Black Friday of 2017, we bought DNA kits through Ancestry.com. They did a great job. I would highly recommend them. And we took those tests, and then January like 14th or something, which I think was a Tuesday, we got our results. Well, I got my results. It took my husband's like another 2 days or something to come. So I got my results, and I got my breakdown. I wasn't really surprised. I'm French, Irish, and English, so there you go. Really, nothing was surprising. I'm white, so I then looked at the connections. So it gives you connections like fourth cousin or more removed, third or fourth cousin removed, second or third cousin removed, and then it has like second relation, first relation, and then it would obviously show you like siblings, like people that share like 50% of your DNA, or whatever. All of my siblings are obviously younger than me. I have a half sister from my father and a half brother and a half sister from my mom. So, and they're all younger than me. And I obviously knew that later. I didn't know this beforehand or anything. So that's cool that I have siblings. But then I saw two connections. They both had the same last name, and so I just was really torn, because I just didn't really feel like these people wanted to know me. So I was really just torn, because I had this information, I had these people that were like once removed relatives from me, and I just didn't really feel like they wanted to know me. And I just had this overwhelming sense of like, what if I'm rejected again? And I cried, and I called my husband and I cried, because I just felt like this overwhelming sense of rejection again. Because when you're put up for adoption, no matter the reason, you feel like rejected. And I'm sure any adoptee can relate to that feeling. And that's very natural, and it's very normal, and you shouldn't feel bad about having that feeling. That's your reality. That's what your life is. So my dad called me, my adoptive dad, because he saw me post like my genetic breakdown, because I was like, oh, this is so cool, look, this is my genetic breakdown. And he was like, so did you find your family? Because he has no issue with that, and he's wanted me to find my family, which is so great, and he's been so supportive. So I basically was like, no. They probably are on Facebook, but I just don't know, and so he was like, well, let's just look him up on Facebook, as is his way. And so we looked them up and we found them, and I messaged them both kind of identical messages. And I did pictures, and I was like, okay. My dog's growling. I was like, okay, I could be related to these people. Yeah, I could see myself being related to these individuals. Send them this message with my information, and I said, this is my name, this is when I was born. I think that you might be related to, like, your son or your nephew might be my father, because that just seemed like what I was seeing. There was a lot of boys in the family that were the age my dad would be. Yeah, I got information back from one of them, and she said, let me check with some people and I will let you know. So basically she was like, yep, you're related to us, let me make sure people are okay with it. Man, I just don't even know what's happening right now. Then that night, my grandma and my father both messaged me. So I basically found my dad in under 12 hours. My father gave me the information to my mom. So he gave me her name, told me, you know, she had just recently gotten remarried, and had another kid. And so in my message to her, I basically said, you know, I know you have kids that are part of your life. Like, she had pictures with her kids, obviously. They're a part of your life. I don't want your kids to think that I'm replacing them or that I'll ever have the same kind of relationship that you do with them. And so then I waited, and it was nerve-wracking. But then at like 1 p.m. the following day, I was driving, and I'm at a stop sign, and or a stoplight, and I get this message from her, and she's just like, yes, 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 I want to have a relationship with you, of course. I've waited for this day. I love you so much. Which was really weird for someone that you have never really met in your life to love you already. This is like the perfect outcome of what could have happened. And I'm just so grateful for all of the support that I've had from my husband, from especially my adoptive father. That's how I found my biological parents in 24 hours. Oh, and the crazier thing is that my biological father lives like half an hour away from me. And my husband and I moved here in 2016. So we've been living in the same city for 2 years. And then my mom lives 7.5 hours from us. So basically, if I had been living where I grew up, would probably have met them once in the past 9 months. But I've seen them so many times because we're all in driving distance of each other. So it's been surreal. I think the advice that I can give to any adoptee is don't let the what ifs be part of your life. Just go for it. And if you're rejected, you're rejected, and you have a support system. If you aren't rejected, cool, you don't have those what ifs in your mind anymore. So that's just my advice, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.